American statecraft is often described as a finely tuned machine, a methodical system where global power moves are planned years in advance with surgical precision. This contrasts sharply with the ruthless effectiveness seen in modern domestic politics. Donald Trump's recent primary campaigns demonstrated a clear, effective calculus: the systematic retaliation against and removal of disloyal Republicans. The unseating of Thomas Massie serves as the primary example. Massie was a prominent critic who led the high-profile push to release the Epstein files, yet he was successfully purged from the party through a targeted, logical political strike. There is a brutal internal logic to these domestic maneuvers. However, that strategic consistency appears to vanish the moment American influence is projected onto the global stage. To understand modern geopolitics, we have to examine the massive gap between the grand outcomes the U.S. intends to achieve and the bafflingly incompetent ways it tries to pull them off. Consider the high-stakes goal of stopping Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons while simultaneously pursuing a regime change strategy. The administration's specific plan for execution involved reinstating former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad as the country's new leader. This strategy creates a logical paradox. Ahmadinejad is the same man who aggressively championed Iran's nuclear program for 8 years. Installing him to stop nuclear proliferation is like hiring an arsonist for fire safety. To free him from house arrest, an Israeli strike blew up his home on the first day of the war, injuring the very asset they were attempting to extract. This operation represents a total collapse of strategic reasoning. Geopolitical intent is rendered meaningless when the tactical execution destroys the objective and the asset in one move. This pattern extends to America's territorial ambitions, specifically the grand goal of acquiring Greenland. Instead of mobilizing the State Department or veteran diplomats, the administration tasked Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry to serve as a special envoy to the territory. Landry's diplomatic strategy for winning over the local population involved a very specific tactic: handing out chocolate chip cookies. The gravity of international territorial expansion is met with the absurdity of a U.S. governor attempting to win over foreign citizens with neighborhood treats. Treating a complex geopolitical acquisition like a friendly bribery campaign suggests an infantilization of diplomacy, where performative stunts replace serious statecraft. Finally, look at the objective of projecting military and legal strength to hold foreign autocrats accountable. The Department of Justice executed this goal by filing criminal charges against 94-year-old former Cuban President Raúl Castro. These charges stem from an aircraft shootdown that occurred 30 years ago. Castro is now a frail man at the end of his life, requiring physical assistance just to walk. Directing the full weight of the American military and legal system toward a nogenarian on a soup diet effectively turns the projection of strength into targeted elder abuse. Extending these resources on a fragile target demonstrates a preference for performative, risk-free retaliation over the pursuit of meaningful global security. These 3 cases suggest a departure from traditional diplomacy. In place of calculated grand strategy, we see a reliance on chaotic, improvised execution. We are observing a posture where interests are lost quickly, where bribery is attempted with baked goods, and military efforts are focused on the elderly. This sends a specific message to autocrats worldwide. They are no longer facing a machine of military genius, but rather the unpredictable meddling of American forces showing up at their shuffleboard matches. There is one notable exception to this pattern. Vladimir Putin remains entirely safe and untouched by this system of erratic targeting. The logic gap in these policies has replaced the methodical gears of grand strategy with a system where global outcomes are determined by unpredictable, often contradictory impulses.